Well, everyone, it's official. Tucker Carlson is not MAGA, according to President Trump, whose comments about Carlson were brutal. Now, he told the Washington Post, and I quote, "Tucker has lost his way. I knew that a long time ago, and he's not MAGA. MAGA is saving our country. MAGA is making our country great again. MAGA is America first, and Tucker is none of those things." And Tucker is really not smart enough to understand that. Boom. So Carlson's IQ is now getting dragged by President Trump. Now, let's recall Tucker Carlson had told Washington Post reporter Jonathan Karl that the Iran war is quote-unquote absolutely disgusting and evil. Carlson also declared that the Iran war is Israel's war, not the United States' war. Then he said this war is waged purely because Israel wanted it to be waged. Now, those comments by Carlson are false. President Trump told the news media recently, in no uncertain terms, that he wasn't forced by Israel into launching the attack on Iran. Now, let's watch.
Mr. President, did Israel force your hand to launch these strikes against Iran? Did Netanyahu pull the United States into this war?
No, I might have forced their hand. You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics. And it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. And we have great negotiators, great people that do this very successfully and have done it all their lives very successful. And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand. But Israel was ready, and we were ready, and we've had a very, very powerful impact because virtually everything they have has been knocked out now. Their missile count is going way down. Amazingly, they're hitting countries that were, let's call them neutral, right? They lived together for a long time. I think they were surprised. I was surprised. And now those countries are all fighting against them and fighting strongly against them.
Now, I don't know how anyone could watch that press conference and say that this war is Israel's war, that Bibi Netanyahu maneuvered President Trump into attacking Iran. Well, I guess he maneuvered the Ayatollah into using the negotiations as a stall tactic as well. Now, this article says Tucker Carlson cries uncle after Trump denounces him. Now, the reporter writes, responding to Trump's vicious diss, Carlson cowered in an attempt to stay on the president's good side. Now, Carlson is quoted as saying, "There are times I get annoyed with Trump, right now definitely included, but I'll always love him no matter what he says about me." Well, there it is. Denial is the first stage of grief. Now, isn't that what the psychiatrists say? But it's Carlson's own fault. Now, he's been undermining the president since the day Trump began his second term. Now, this shows us Carlson has been laser focused on an anti-Trump agenda from the get-go. Carlson thought he could lead MAGA and America first. And while we're on the subject of IQ, now this next video clip shows that it's all about 2028 and 2026. Let's watch.
Come on, let's go.
America does not want to send its sons and daughters to war for Israel. This is wrong. No. And nobody wants to fight for Israel. Stand up. Let's go for America. Out. No one wants to fight for Israel.
Oh my gosh. Why are you getting arrested?
Free Palestine. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, Palestine will be free.
So that was an example of anti-Israel rhetoric of the type that Tucker Carlson traffics in. The protester, Brian McGinnis, is a Marine veteran and current Green Party candidate for Congress in North Carolina. Now, he interrupted a Senate hearing to protest the Iran conflict. His arm was broken in the scuffle, but he got the clicks that he wanted. Now, one of the folks who helped remove him from the hearing was Senator Tim Sheehy of Montana, a former Navy SEAL. Now, there he is in the blue suit, and okay, this is a different view of the senator taking down the crazy person. So the Free Palestine crowd isn't renowned for intelligence. Now, they get into scrapes and are easily identifiable by their social media activity. For example, here's Zohran Mamdani talking about his wife.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. You should have a chance, I think, to respond to this. It's an off-topic question. I'd like to know what your reaction was to the article in the Jewish Insider that was posted about your wife's social media activity. And what I'm wondering is, you're an elected official. She is not. Is it anybody's business, and is it fair to question you about it?
My wife is the love of my life. And she's also a private person who has held no formal position on my campaign or in my city hall. I, however, was elected to represent all 8.5 million people in this city, and I believe that it's my responsibility, because of that role, to answer any questions about my thoughts and my policies and my decisions.
Now, his response and explanation were not sufficient, according to Twitter. Okay, this tweet says, so the love of your life celebrates terrorism and hatred of Jews, but you think that okay because she has no formal position? You are a piece of S. And here's another tweet quoting, my wife is the love of my life. She's a private person who has held no formal position on my campaign or in my government, unquote. So the historical parallel is indeed striking. Okay, on to updates on legal cases that I've been following. Emmanuel and Brigitte Macron versus Candace Owens. So I didn't notice this docket entry before. Maybe it's been here a while, but the judge has scheduled a motion hearing. Now, it's a hearing on the motion to dismiss filed by Owens. The judge set the hearing for April 28th, and what's the importance of that for us? Well, the hearing gives the judge the opportunity to ask questions of the lawyers in person. Now, if I had to guess, the judge is probably going to ask about the timing of certain events from the point of view of the Macrons. Now, the judge's ruling on the motion to dismiss might narrow the time period of the allegations to be litigated. Now, that would be my guess. Candace Owens is engaged in a continuing course of conduct, and her conduct is having a continuing impact on the Macrons. So my guess is that the judge is evaluating the time frame of the conduct, maybe with an eye toward focusing the time frame, although maybe not. Maybe the nature of the case just makes it a very big case, and maybe that can't be helped. Okay, next case, Don Lemon. Now, let's just go to the new docket entries for this week. So, the new defendants are continuing to be brought into court. Now, court-appointed attorneys are assigned to these defendants. Now, there shouldn't be a whole lot of work for their attorneys because the federal public defender is already on the case and retained counsel is on the case, including Don Lemon's attorneys. Now, the court-appointed attorneys probably will just join the motions that are filed by the public defender and Don Lemon's attorneys. That is, they'll just add their name to the list of attorney names at the end of each motion. Now, only one new filing caught my attention, and not necessarily in a good way. Okay, this motion to expedite the briefing schedule for the motion filed by Don Lemon and Georgia Fort, the two alleged journalists and co-conspirators who want to look at the grand jury transcripts. Okay, here they say the prompt determination of this motion matters. Yeah, prosecutorial resources and judicial resources now have to be diverted to responding to and ruling on this motion to expedite. Now, the speedy trial calendar is already out the window because 30 new defendants were added to the case last week, and the court probably will designate the case as complex and add another 90 days to the speedy trial calendar. Next case. Okay, this is the search warrant executed at the residence of Washington Post reporter Hannah Nathanson. Now, it seems she had received classified intelligence regarding the Venezuela operation from a government contractor who's already been indicted. Aurelio Perez-Lugones. Now, he was copying classified documents and feeding it to numerous reporters, Hannah Nathanson among them. Well, the court just ruled that the DOJ cannot use its own filter team to go through all of the documents found at her residence. The DOJ wanted to isolate the material responsive to Perez-Lugones and disclose only those documents to the prosecution. But the judge says no, he himself will look at the documents in camera. Now, that means privately in chambers, not in open court, to determine which documents are indeed responsive to Perez-Lugones. Now, the judge obviously will hand those documents over to the prosecution. Now, the DOJ has indicated that it will appeal this ruling by the judge because the DOJ wants to use a filter team. Now, the DOJ doesn't want the precedent out there that denies them the ability to use a filter team. So the DOJ is forcing the issue by filing an appeal. Now, in contrast, in the federal court in Minnesota, Don Lemon hasn't forced the issue there. Now, maybe because the court's practice in Minnesota is to allow the use of a filter team. And those are all the case updates I have for this week. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.